In today's video, I'm going to be breaking down the promotion timeline if you join the Air Force as an E-2 and also comparing whether you sign a 4 or 6-year contract, including how long your technical training is. Now, if you're joining the Air Force as an E-1 or as an E-3, then this video does not apply to you and you need to go check out the respective video that does apply to you. I'll also be making a video in the future that shows you how to break down how long your technical training is, because currently the Air Force just shows you in how many training days your technical training is. So there's some factors that go into how to calculate that out. I'll be working on that video, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss that. And I also have a video that breaks down the total pay that you get paid throughout these contracts as well. So if you're joining the Air Force as an E-2 and you want to know how much money you're going to make every single month throughout the course of your enlistment, I have a video that shows that and compares the 4 versus 6 year as well. So go check that video out after this video. But if you're new here, my name is Kyle Gott. I'm a 6-year Air Force veteran who did aircraft structural maintenance, and I'm also the founder of Airman Vision. Here at Airman Vision, we've created a streamlined solution for modern day Air Force recruiting, where we're bridging the gap between future recruits in the Air Force. So if you're not yet subscribed, consider joining us and also liking this video to help others find it as well. Now, before I get into the promotion timelines, I do want to say for any of you that are in the process of joining the Air Force, we do have free resources available for you, including a BMT memory worksheet and also a BMT packing list. So if you're interested in any of those free resources, the links will be in the description down below. All right, so here is the chart that I created to walk you through the different scenarios of joining the Air Force as an E-2. Don't worry, I'll walk you through it. It'll make sense by the end of this video. And if you don't already know, one of the big incentives of signing a 6-year contract is that you earn early promotions throughout your contract versus if you had signed a 4-year contract. So here is the chart that I created for the promotion timelines. Don't worry, it might look confusing. I'm going to walk you guys through it so it'll make sense by the end of this video. So on this left side, I have the total months of the contract all the way down to the 4-year mark, because we're going to be comparing 4 versus 6 year. And then in these different columns, I have if you join as an E-2 all the way across the board. Again, this video is only if you're joining the Air Force as an E-2. If you're joining as an E-3 or an E-1, this video does not apply to you. So in the first column, we have a 4-year enlistee. And then after that, I have a bunch of 6-year enlistees. The reason these are different is because it's based on how long technical training is. So we're going to start out with the person that signed a 4-year contract. And in the Air Force, if you join as an E-2, you are going to be the rank of E-2 for 10 months, and then you'll be promoted to E-3. And then from your 10-month mark all the way up until your 3-month mark, you will be an E-3, where then you will be promoted to E-4. Now, the reason for this is because the Air Force requires 2 different scenarios for getting promoted to E-4. You either have 28 months time and grade, which is 28 months as an E-3, or you have 20 months time and grade, so 20 months as an E-3 at your 3-year mark. So in this scenario, if you get promoted to E-3 at your 10-month mark, you could add 20 months to that, but that still doesn't get you to your 36-month mark or your 3-year mark. So the soonest that you could be promoted would be your 36-month mark. The other option is 28 months time and grade with no time and service option, but that would put you at your 38th-month mark. So the faster of those two is the 36-month mark. So the 4-year enlistee will get promoted to E-4 at 3 years. They will then be E-4 throughout the remainder of their contract. Now we're going to move on to the person that signs a 6-year contract. And for this first scenario, this is somebody that goes to technical training for 2 months. This won't apply to most people because this is by far the absolute shortest technical training that you could have in the Air Force. And the Air Force, for signing a 6-year contract, gives the incentive of early promotion, and that is you earn E-3 at the completion of tech school or after 20 weeks of tech school, which comes out to about 5 months. Now, there's also an interesting stipulation to this, because after you get promoted to E-3 at the completion of technical training, your date of rank is actually backdated to the day you completed basic training. You do not get back pay, though. This just goes in to say that your effective date of rank for E-3 was the date that you completed basic training. So in this situation, this person would get promoted at their 4-month mark when they complete technical training to E-3. However, in their records, it would say that they put on E-3 at their 2-month mark, which was when they completed basic training. Now, the reason for this is to ensure that they earn early promotion to E-4. Now, why this is so important is because this affects when you get promoted to E-4. Remember earlier, I said it's 28 months time and grade or 20 months time and grade with 36 months time and service. Well, in this situation, you would add 28 months to 2 months. That comes out to your 30-month mark. The other scenario is is 36 months is the soonest you could promote. And it goes based on whichever comes first. So for those that sign the 6-year contract, they will get promoted to E4 at their 30-month mark because their date of rank for E3 is backdated back to the completion of basic training, which is at your 2-month mark. And then when you move on to the 3-month technical training, this person just gets promoted 1 month later because their technical training is 1 month longer. So at their 5-month mark, they would get promoted to E3. But again, their E3 effective date would actually be 2 months. So they still are going to get promoted to E4 at their 30-month mark. As you can see, this applies across the board for all people that sign a 6-year contract. The big difference is up here with your technical training length, which as you can see, if you sign a job with a 2-month long technical training, you're going to get promoted to E3 a little bit faster than somebody that signs a 4 or a 5-month long technical training job. Now, if you sign a job that has technical training that is 5 months long, you're going to get promoted to E3 upon completion. That would be at your 7-month mark, but your effective date for E3 is back to your 2nd month because you completed basic training 2 months in. And like I said earlier, one of the stipulations of the early promotions in the 6-year contract is you'll get E3 upon completion of technical training or 20 weeks of technical training, whichever comes first, which is about 5 months of technical training. So for those of you that'll have 6 months or longer of technical training, your promotion will work out the exact same as somebody that had a 5-month long technical training. So if you wanted to compare the differences between if you signed a 4 or a 6-year contract, the green shows where the 6-year contract outranks what you would have been had you signed a 4-year contract. Now, when I joined the Air Force, I actually came in as an E2 because I had some college credits, and this was my scenario because my technical training was 4 months long. So this was my experience. At my 6-month mark, I put on E3, and then I outranked what I would have been for 4 months. And then from there, I was an E3 with what I would have been had I signed a 4-year contract. And then I got promoted to E4 at my 30-month mark, and I would have been promoted to E4 at my 3-year mark or my 36-month mark had I signed a 4-year contract. So all in all, in my specific situation when I joined, I outranked what I would have been by 10 months over a 4-year span. That was about 21% of the contract. Now, if you come over to the best case scenario, if you have a technical training that is 2 months long, you're going to earn higher promotions for 25% of the contract compared to somebody that signs a 4-year contract. For 3 months, it's 23%. And then for 5 months and on, it's going to be 19%. Now, something that I did not include in this video is getting promoted to below the zone or BTZ. Essentially, this is a 6-month early promotion to E4. So for people in this situation, instead of getting promoted at your 2.5-year mark, you could get promoted to E4 at your 2-year mark. Or if you signed a 4-year contract, instead of your 3-year mark, you could get promoted to E4 at your 2.5-year mark. Now, the reason that I didn't include this is because there are a lot of other situations. I'm going to make a whole separate video that dives into getting below the zone and what that means and how that affects your promotions. So yes, I do want to say that signing a 6-year contract does offer early promotions. However, there are opportunities for somebody that signs a 4-year contract to get promoted 6 months early and get promoted at the same time as everyone else that signed a 6-year contract. But something to keep in mind is that when you test for E5 in the Air Force, it is not an automatic given promotion like the other ranks have been up till that point. When you test for E5, there is a testing window. Now, overall, the best case scenario for anyone joining the Air Force is that you will have a 1-year advancement on others. And the reason I didn't include BTZ in this is because it affects when your testing window is, and there's a lot of different nuances of what month you join out of the year. So I didn't even bother with that. I'll do that in the whole breakdown video because it's just going to be so in depth. I didn't want to make it confusing. But essentially, over the course of the long term of your career, you're only going to be ahead of the game by 1 year. That is the best that it can get. So if you do 20 years, best case scenario, a lot of people are like, oh, I want to sign a 4 or 6 year because I want to get ahead. In the end, even if you sign a 6-year contract and you get BTZ, you're really only looking at long term, like 15, 20 years down the road. You're only going to possibly be 1 year ahead of if you had signed a 4-year contract. Also, in terms of just doing 4 years and comparing 4 years side by side, it is impossible for any of these people that promote on the normal timeline to get promoted to E5 before your 4-year mark. It would require you to get BTZ in order to make E5 within 4 years. And not everybody that makes BTZ will be able to promote to E5 within 4 years because of the testing window and how that lines up. It can get super complicated and confusing, but just know that no matter if you sign a 4 or 6-year contract, at your 4-year mark, you're going to be the same rank no matter what. Also, not airmen are eligible for BTZ, and only 8 to 15% of those that are eligible actually get promoted to BTZ. So sometimes you could have less than 50% of airmen are actually eligible, and then of those 50%, only 8 to 15% actually make BTZ. So it's very, very rare. Overall, you're looking at probably 5% or even less of the Air Force makes below the zone. So don't get your hopes up because 95% or more of you won't get BTZ. I'm not saying don't strive for it, but just don't get your hopes up because it's very, very hard to get. But if you do want it, biggest advice I have is stay out of trouble. Do your job correctly. Don't get paperwork. If you get paperwork within your first 2 years of the Air Force, you're likely going to disqualify yourself from being eligible for BTZ. But if you found this breakdown helpful, be sure to subscribe and like the video, and also share it with your delayed entry program or anyone else that you know that's joining. Now, if you're in the process of joining and you're looking to get even further ahead, on airmanvision.com, we offer several resources, including a BMT prep guide, fitness workout programs, and a Build Wealth in the Military book. In that book, I show how I went from negative $15,000 when I joined the Air Force to over $100,000 net worth when I got out. I walk you through how to take advantage of your pay and benefits while you're in, and also after you get out. It's honestly the best resource that I've created on Airman Vision, so I highly recommend that you check it out. But as always, my name is Kyle Gott. This is Airman Vision, where we're bridging the gap between future recruits in the Air Force, and we look forward to helping you in another video.